Okay, this is Module 3, Lesson 8. Only 2 more lessons to go in Module 3. I can't believe our semester is almost over. Wow. 8 and 9 are definitely the 2 tougher sections of this module. So you definitely want to make sure when you're working on your ALEKS to work hard on Lesson 8 and Lesson 9. Lots of test questions on those, and like I said, they are definitely the most difficult of the chapter or the module. So this first thing is kind of a group activity, so it's not going to be as fun with me leading it. It's more fun to set you guys at a table and have you like kind of sort through it and kind of come up with answers, but we got to do what we got to do. So this is kind of just an opener for Lesson 8. It's about the 2011 NBA dunk contest, slam dunk contest. So during that slam dunk contest, I guess Blake Griffin jumped over a Kia automobile to slam dunk. I wasn't watching it, so I don't know. So if you want to watch the video, you can. I usually show it to the class, and it's kind of fun, when we're doing the group thing. But you guys can look it up if you want. It's cute. So let's suppose that Chase Budinger and Shannon Brown tried to recreate Blake Griffin's dunk over the Kia automobile. Suppose all 3 players practiced the dunk together in the gym and tallied their results as shown below. So a V for victory means the dunk was successful. A 0 means the dunk was unsuccessful. So they were all trying to jump over the car and see how many times they could get the ball in. So here's the 3 players, and this is the tally of their dunks. So you can see Blake shot the most, Shannon second most, Chase third most. So then I put you guys into groups when we do this, and I have you decide which player performed the best. Discuss with your group members and display your findings on a whiteboard. So, and you're also asked to provide justifications. So what we learn as the group works on this, that it's not necessarily who took the most shots. It's more about who made more of the ones they did shoot. So Chase, start with him, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victories, 7 dunks out of a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So of course the groups don't immediately go to this. Some of them look here and they go, oh, he had the most shots, or he made the most dunks, so he did the best. But I'm just going to cut right to the chase just because we're on a video and I know you don't want to watch this stuff. So Chase made 7 out of 10. Shannon made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're going to try and figure out who, performed the best. So just looking at those 2, one, I think you could say, well, Shannon did good. He at least made 20 shots. Chase only made 10. But if you're looking about what we would call free throw percentage, who made the most out of the ones they attempted, I hope you can easily tell that Chase's is closer to a hole. So Chase did better than Shannon if you're talking about percentage made. So let's talk about this. This is 7/10. You guys learned about this in your last module on your last test before spring break. We learned that 7/10 is really 0.7. You guys remember that? Tenths tells me 1 decimal place. And then when we had one like this, we learned that you could do long division, Or you could say, well, let's change this to 100 because I know how to write a decimal when it's 100. So I don't know if you remember that far back. So to turn this into 100, you would have to multiply the denominator by 5. But we've learned along the way, whatever you do to the denominator, you now have to do the same thing to the numerator because this has to be 1 and 5 over 5 is 1. So this comes out to be 35 over 100. So now without all that long division work, we can say, oh, this is 0.35. So remember those questions on your Module 2 test? So two decimal place or two zeros means two decimal places. So next we have Blake. So let's analyze Blake here. So Blake definitely had the most attempts. Let's see how many he made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he made more than everyone, but he also took more. So if you're just talking about who made the most, Blake would be the winner. He made 8. So he was going faster than everyone else. But they're talking more like who performed the best, like who had the best percentage. So we're going to learn how to change these to a percent in just a minute. So Blake had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So he had 25 attempts and made 8. So that we can compare all these and decide which one's larger. Remember how we learned to make them all the same number of decimal places? We'll do that in just a bit. So again, rather than do long division, which kind of takes a long time, it's easier on this kind of problem to make it 100. So anytime the decimal can turn into 100, I do that. Well, 10, we didn't need to do 100 because we already knew how to write tenths. But these two are bigger than 10, so we need to change them to 100. So on this one, couldn't we multiply both by 4 to change it to 100? So this is 32 out of 100. 8 times 4, 32. So that would be 0.32. So we also learned in Module 2 how to rank decimals. So we said make them all the same number of places. 2 places, 2 places, 2 places. So now we can easily see if we're talking about percent made, Chase would be the winner, Shannon would be second place, and Blake would be third place because this is the largest number, this is the second largest number, this is the smallest number. Okay, so now we're going to take this information and put it on the next page. So keep this page handy, or you have to look back and forth. I made 2 copies, so I wouldn't have to keep turning it over. So, name of player. So we can use our numbers from this other page. So this is like making it a little more official. Fraction comparing successes to total. So Chase, we said, was 7 to 10. Shannon was 7 to 20. And Blake was 8 out of 25. Fraction rewritten with a denominator of 100. So they want us to change them all to 100. And you'll see why, because this, if you look at the top, look what this is labeled, percent. Percent means out of or divided by 100, because cent is century, per means divide. So in order to make something a percent, we have to change it to 100 because it's out of 100. So then we're going to do the same thing we just did on the last page. To make 10 100, we'd have to multiply both by 10. To make 20 100, both by 5. To make 25 100, both by 4. And so now we can write our new fractions, and when they're all the same denominator, remember when we were comparing fractions in the last chapter, we made them all the same denominator? That makes it easier to compare fractions. So this is 70 out of 100. This is 35 out of 100. And this is 32 out of 100. So just like we did in Module 2, once we found a common denominator, we could say this is the largest, this is the second largest, this is the smallest. So rank them best. So 70 out of 100's best, 35 out of 100's second best, and 32 out of 100's third best. Why do we do that? Because you really can't compare them when these are all different. Because we can't tell which one's best until we make them all the same, and then we can look and go, oh, now it's really easy to tell who's the best. Now they want us to change to percent, and that's where this introduces us into percents. It's our introduction. So 70 out of 100 means 70%. And you know that from taking tests. If you get 75 out of 100, it's 75%, 80 out of 100, so on. So 35 out of 100 would be 35%, and 32 out of 100 would be 32%. So this is them ranked as fractions. This row would be them ranked as percents. So you can see Chase had double the percent of Shannon. So Chase was way ahead in that game. So Chase did the best if you're counting the highest percent made. Blake would be the best if you were counting who made the most shots. And Shannon wouldn't be best at anything, I guess. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next page. So you might want to grab a highlighter if you don't have one out already. So we're going to compare how decimals, fractions, percents all relate using the grid. And this is a good first way to do it, like to get used to it. So turn another light on here. It's kind of dark. So each figure below contains 100 equal sized parts. And remember, this we call the whole. Write a ratio comparing the shaded to the total. So you can tell when it's to the total, each one's going to be over 100. Then simplify your fraction. Then write it as a decimal. What percent of each figure? So after you write as a decimal, then you change it to a percent. So first a fraction, then a simplified fraction, change it to a decimal, then a percent. So they're asking us to do 4 things. So here, let's count how many, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there should be 15 not shaded, and there are 15 not shaded. So the number shaded over the number possible. So a lot of students get all busy and start simplifying, but I say, whoa, stop right there first. Before you simplify, do the decimal, do the percent, then go back and simplify, because this is the fraction that's going to help you with these 2 pieces. So from Module 2, we learned that 85 over 100, there's 2 zeros, so that means there'd be 2 decimal places, so it'd be 0.85. And we know that 85 correct on a test out of 100 means 85%. So we converted to a decimal, we converted to a percent. The only thing we haven't done is simplified form. But you see why we stopped there first? Because that gives us these 2 answers. So I see the number ends in 5 and 0. So that tells me right away, oh, 5 goes into both of those then if it ends in 5 and 0. So I can divide both of those by 5. So we go over here and do 5 into 85. 5 goes into 8 once, 5. Subtract, bring down this one, 5, 35. 5 goes into 35 7 times. So that would be 17 over 20. So there's the first one done. So before you turn on the next video, go ahead and do the next 2 and see if you can get those right. See you in a minute.